And we're live for a special episode of the Dodcast. This time we've got, of course, returning special guest, Chi, in the house.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks for being here. Always a pleasure, man. You know I love you. Today we got the special, I don't know if I'm going to even call this episode number whatever, because it's more just last week's episode got messed up, the recording, and the finals portion of it got cut off. So we're just doing a whole episode on that now. It's the gold finals in particular. T3 versus Thunder.
The dream final.
Yeah, it's the final we all wanted to see. It wouldn't have been the same if we had drawn somebody else in the finals. We've had too many crazy matches with these guys. It just seemed destined to happen at this point, right?
Completely.
It's too perfect. So, obviously, taking a look at the regular season, it was the top two teams in gold at the end of the season with the same record. Played each other once in the regular season this season, which was a crazy match, 117 to 118, which I'm sure everybody watching this saw because it was crazy. Last season, we played each other on Armory. We won that one 154 to 112. That was just basically one cap out difference on a map that we made, so it's kind of like whatever. And then playoffs last season in the semifinals, we played on Railroad 2 and T3 won 119 to 116. So the total point differential in these three wins is less than 50 points with all them added up together, which is nuts. Did you get to watch all these matches on the cast that they had?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
I watched all of them.
Yes, I love it. I don't know the Armory one. I don't remember as much about it because it was just wasn't as memorable a match as the two Railroad matches. Obviously, the playoffs match coming down to 3 points, where we started off just getting rolled in the first 10 minutes, and then when it got to the last 5 minutes of the match, we were trying to do the math in our heads of how much could we hold. It's getting
So
stressful. Yeah.
So hard to do that
It
while
is.
in game.
It's and even when I'm doing it casting for that icy hot PMC match, for example, it's hard to do it in that moment when you're not playing.
Yeah, it's just so hard.
Right? Let alone when you're in the middle of the match too. I think Jared said he didn't. I think I said that I think we could hold the win, and Jared was like, "No, I don't think so. I think we have to cap," and we weren't sure. And then we just were like, I guess we better cap just in case. And if we don't, we better hope we don't get cap back on. And it turns out that we could have held, but we couldn't have held to win. It was too far apart. I've got balls too, of course. Wow. And then the drink balls.
Yeah, no worries.
And then the rail yard matchup was 1 point, which we were winning for the first 37 minutes in full control, and then Nick Patton went on a I think it was a 9 or 10 kill streak on their Axis side, and we went from having mid and being in full control to being down to our last flag with 10 seconds left, and sure enough, they pushed their whole team to our first, and we could not hold on. They capped out. They had held just long enough so that the cap out wins by 1 point, not overtime, not lose by 1 point. They won by 1 point. It was crazy for us even. I can't imagine what it was like for you spectating that.
I was actually showcasting with Nine and Monsters.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I haven't watched that cast
Nine
since then.
did the math.
Yeah.
He said it 5 minutes before the end of the match. He said it, if T3 holds all the flags but one, and they cap out in the last 5 seconds, they have the points to win.
Yep, that's right. He called it. He knew it was coming. I mean, that was the most crazy part, I think, of that cast was the way that it was he knew, however long, 5 minutes, 6 minutes before the end of the match. This is the scenario. If they do this, they've got it. And then sure enough, T3, unsurprisingly, in the end, was able to do exactly what they needed to do to win. that's their whole thing. They always find a way. They are a tough team to play against for that exact reason. What the hell did I just do to this OBS? Whatever. I'm just gonna. It's always something with me. They always find a way to pull out whatever it is that they need to pull out in the end. And I mean, we seen it even in the Armory match. Like, we only won because of a very random cap out by J-Rod. It's a ninja cap, but I mean, he didn't really ninja. He just like ran in front of everybody. I don't know what happened. He went through like that weird little back hall that exists on the map and just kind of like ran by all of them when they were all still alive. It was very lucky. Otherwise, we would have lost that match by 2 points or something. So thankfully that didn't happen, because I think we'd all have to go to therapy if that was the case. As it is, we might need therapy for all the close losses to T3 so far. But there probably is more to come now, because we've got finals to play.
It can't get any better now.
It cannot. If it does, then something really messed up must have happened to get to that point. So we've got Railroad 2 as the first map, rolling it back to the playoffs from last season, and then Lenin, which is a map we haven't played each other on yet in a match, and Anzio, which is, of course, everybody's finals map, the map that has been played in the most finals in DoD history. I think a really good indicator of like team play, the way that Anzio plays versus something like Lenin, or something like, say, like Thunder. Although Thunder can be a pretty good indication of like most of your team playing together a lot of the time. I think with Anzio, it's kind of like you've got these two halves of the map where you have mini teams playing with each other, and it can really, then you come together to push for the cap out. I think it's just like the perfect third map to put the exclamation point on this season.
Yes, I completely agree. Like you said, like in Lennon, you can have the heavies play a great match, and they can win the match by themselves, practically. But you cannot do that on Anzio.
No. It's like there's no. I mean, you can obviously have somebody go off and do a lot to win the match for your team, but most of the time you need like at least 4 or 5 of your players to be playing solid and doing their job in order to win on Anzio. Otherwise, you're going to run into serious issues at one point or another.
Yes, I agree completely.
And it's one of those things where, I mean, I know that there are some people out there that hate on Anzio, but there's a reason it's been played in so many finals, like CPL 04, CPL 05. They finally changed it for WSVG 06, but that was more just so that they didn't have the same finals map for 3 years in a row. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have rather done that. It's just kind of perfect.
Yes, I agree. It's the best map for a final.
And like with Railroad 2, I think that's kind of fitting, right? Getting to replay that map, which, you know, both of us like to play. We both kind of have our own theories on how to play Railroad 2 and the way we execute those. I mean, I love the fact that they beat us on Railroad 2, because that was probably the map we felt most confident on. After 10 years of playing together or whatever, we always felt pretty unbeatable on Railroad 2. So for them to beat us on that map was just like, yeah, this team is not a joke. Like, this ain't fluky to win a match against Thunder on Railroad 2, ever. So I thought that was really fitting, and then to have that come back, I believe that's their map pick, because they're the 1 seed. So yeah, they had to have picked it, right? Yeah.
But now you guys want revenge.
Yeah, we do. We want revenge bad on Railroad 2. And like, in that regard, you would think that we would feel more confident heading into it. Like, we got this figured out, but still, when you have a win over a team like this, it's just hard to get over that fact. Like, it's always in the back of your head that the fact that you lost to these guys on this map in a similar situation, you know, like, it's something you gotta find a way to work around while not like getting yourself out of your own game. Like, you don't want to overly game plan for the other team and start doing stuff that you're not good at, you know?
Yeah. Not changed your whole strat.
Yeah.
For just one match.
Exactly. It's a tough balance to find. I think in that match, the huge, on Railroad 2, the huge difference maker was PDX. I'll see if I can find a couple of these clips in this shoutcast. I'm sure I can. He had, on their allied side, one of the craziest clutches that anybody will ever see, where we had like 3 guys prone diving for the second flag, and he just killed us all. It was really something else. Oh, I think it might be this part coming up here. Let's see. And then on Axis side, he had, I think that every time that we went for mid, he broke it.
Yes, I remember he was always in underpass.
Yeah.
Like underpass long.
Yep. Constantly. Like, there was just no avoiding him. Is this it right here? No, that's where we get the second. Okay, it happened before this. Yeah, every time that we were going for mid on our allied side, PDX would be in underpass, like just perfectly timed with a grenade. I think at one point he gets 4 of us like that. There, here it is, right here. There it is.
JaGGoN's watching right window ticket.
Let's watch this real quick.
What is T3 going to do to break out of this besides going sniper off?
I think I started a little too early, but whatever. Whoa. I don't know what I did there. Oh, I didn't do anything.
That worried about breaking out of it. They just need to worry about not getting capped out on.
So, I mean, you can see here, T3, one of their biggest strengths on any map is the way that they defend their last flags. They're very hard to cap out on. Oh, wait, this might have already happened. This might be after. Yeah, this looks like it's after. This might be it right here. But T3, it's just, when they get down to their last flag, they hit another level. Why is this, like, lagging? I don't understand.
It's your chair.
It might be my new chair. Yeah, I got this new computer chair. Everybody can see there. It's massaging. Well, I don't have the massager on right now, but it can massage the back. Here it is. No, that's not it either. Okay, so it's going to be the previous life then, because Bud gets the kill on him the second time we try for it. Wow. I'm really blown away by the fact that I couldn't find this immediately. I guess I've tried to block it out of my mind. Understandably so.
Such a traumatic moment.
Yeah, it was. It's really, I mean, watching it back, it's just like, oh my god, what are the chances? We couldn't have DOD not work for just 1 second, you know? The game that's so full of problems all the time, but it worked perfectly at that moment.
Yeah, that's a hard angle.
I wish there was like timestamps on this thing. And it's like lagging around, so it's making it more of a pain in the ass to try to find it. I don't want to spend too long just sitting here scrolling around on this match, but I mean, it was a huge moment. I really want to show people that might not have got to see it in the cast. Let's see if I can do it like this, scrolling through. I know on Axis side as well, to keep talking about PDX's impact on this match, he definitely top fragged both halves, and I believe he was the only player on T3 to go positive for the match. He went insane. Like, there's no, you can't overstate his value in this match to getting that 3-point win. Saving a cap out single-handedly with the 3K that we will eventually find, I swear. And then preventing multiple cap outs by breaking mid when we were in situations to be able to cap out. Yeah, that's not it. I feel like I'm just going right back to the same spot over and over again, and it's going to just not be it again. They capped out there. Then we go out and get the second. Oh, I can turn the playback speed up. This will make it easier. There we go. I'm just going to let it play while it finds it, and eventually it'll come up. On Axis side, it was like we just didn't know what to do about PDX, because every time that we felt we were in a situation where he was maybe dead, it would turn out that he was actually still alive in underpass. The respawn timer had worked out perfectly, and just like he was all, his timing is impeccable. You know how he is.
Yeah, yes.
He, with his nades, he never flubs a nade like most of us do every once in a while. He never mistimes a nade. He's just always on his shit. And it's so hard to contend with because you expect mistakes to happen eventually because we're all human. But with PDX, he just so rarely makes basic mistakes. His fundamentals are just flawless. Oh.
Yes, and especially on moments like that.
Yeah. Speak of the devil with that nade. I remember watching the HLTV. He threw that nade from the other side of the spawn and blew it up right in J-Rod's face at the top of White Steps.
Wow.
I think we get the second... Yeah, we get the first flag back now. This is when it's going to happen. So finally, guys, I found it. It only took me an hour. So we have the first. We're sending a guy through train, a guy through ticket, and a guy through connector. Here we go. PDX 1, 2, and 3.
Wow.
Just crazy. So now, like, we go from, we're going to cap out here, we got the momentum back, let's go, to, oh my god, half our team is dead. We need to fall back and defend now, because we're fucked. And that's the thing, like, with a play like that, not only is it huge for obviously preventing the cap out, but what it does to just the mental side of things. You get broken by a play like that.
Yes, completely.
You know, it's like you're so close. You can smell that cap out. You got 3 guys jumping out for it. There's no way they can kill all 3 guys here. Not a chance. And then not only was it that they did, but one guy did all of it. It wasn't like 3 different guys got a kill, or like someone missed a prone dive, or like there was a nade. No, it was just PDX shitting in our faces. So that was a huge moment. And then, I mean, on their Axis side, you saw a lot of PDX just being Johnny on the spot in underpass, as I was saying. I could probably, like, just literally jump to any point in this half, and it'll be PDX getting multiple kills at a time. Let's see. Now, that's when we start pushing for the caps. That's too late. See, we got to a point where... So we were down by, like, 42, I think. Ironically, the exact amount we won by on Armory. So after the first half, it's like, okay, we just need to cap out once and hold a little bit. But what actually happens is they cap out first on that half, which was like backbreaking. You know.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's like you think, oh, well, this isn't so bad. It's our allied side. Like, we'll definitely cap out at least once. This shouldn't be a problem. But no, they come out and do the first cap. I think it's really early, if I recall correctly, too. It looks like it actually just happened, yeah. There it is, because we have no one as the mid flag yet, so that's definitely after an initial. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here it is. This is just another perfect example here. A lot of people don't talk about this play, but I think this was actually more important. Here we go. So we have 3 guys on mid. Double nade, Stas. So it goes from we have every flag but their second, capping mid, to PDX kills 4 of us out of underpass. Now they're getting mid. They have everybody on respawn.
Yeah.
They just killed Tox as well. So that part, Jared was in 4-way at the box at the front of 4-way, ninja'd to break it, and he just shoots right through Bud. It's so rough. And after that mid-cap, PDX does a very smart thing. Let's see if they catch it on the stream. He pushes through connector. They're talking about it right now. There he is. He's through connector under a spawn. He prone kills Jared, and then I'm battling with him for like a full minute. He's just stalling me, letting his team push up. Then he kills me, gets the 2, and because of all the stalling, free pass to the 1. 2.5 minutes in. So good, man. I mean, PDX, just such a big difference maker.
He was absolutely on that day.
Yeah. Like, that was one of those games where you just kind of, you get possessed, you know? Like, shots are just hitting. Every shot is hitting, basically. All your nades are perfect. Your timing's always working out. There's just some days that one guy is going to be that good. I have those days, too. You have those days. We all have those days where it's like everything just works, you know?
Yeah, and it's especially on teams like that. Like where you have 12 players.
Yeah.
Whenever one of them goes off, it makes such a difference.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. because everybody is like even on their bad days, you know, a guy like a Nick Patton, a PDX, a Jules, a Toxinator, Ryan, like on their bad days, they're still really good. So when you can get one of those guys that can like drop 100 kills in a match, and they have that game, and it happens to be like in a playoff match or a finals match, that's where like that's something that can win you a map or steal you a map that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise won. You know, like you look at what the score was, and with PDX, he was the only, I think he ended up being the only overall positive player. I should check those screenshots so I'm not lying. How do I do this? Go like that. Double check. So there's second half. PDX 29 and 21. Bud is 20 and 15 as well. And then first half. That's not quite it. Sorry, guys. I take a million screenshots. There it is. Okay, so Bud was positive as well, but PDX 35 and 22. So Bud 46 and 29 overall. PDX 64 and 43 overall. What are the two positive players? PDX top frag for the server for sure. And you got to figure, like, if PDX just goes like even, I'd say that probably could make up those 3 points. You know, like especially with the way he was getting his kills, like they weren't just he was shooting guys in the back coming out of spawn or something. Like he was getting kills to break mid, to prevent cap outs, to get his team map control. Like he was getting kills in majorly important spots. So that's like a perfect example right here of when you have a lot of high impact players, if one of them has like one of their best days, that can win you the match all by itself, no matter what the rest of the guys on your team do. Like, they had a lot of guys who just had off days at this point. Like, you don't see Leo have a half like this ever. You know, he had a rough day in this match. And PDX picked those guys up and made the difference with an incredible performance. You know, it was really, really something to marvel at, watching the cast and the HLTV demos, just seeing how on he was that day.
Yeah, I would say it was one of the best performance individually
I've
seen in a long time.
Same here. You don't see that happen often in these big matches. You see it in, like, you know, scrims, 12-mans and stuff. Like, it happens way more often there. But when it comes to, like, the highest level of competitive DOD, it's usually, like, everybody is kind of around the same spot. You'll have guys that'll get a few more kills. But it's usually not in that high an impact way to be, like, single-handedly keeping your team in the game in moments where it looked like you were about to lose for sure.
Yeah.
To have a 3K on 3 guys going for that second flag, that's tough under any circumstances, let alone in a high intensity clutch moment like that with 2 teams that, you know, like just they have so much history with each other. We were going back and forth all season in matches and scrims. You know, heading into the season, we were the 2 teams that like wanted to be playing each other at that point. And PDX came up big when it mattered most there, and he was definitely the MVP of that match. And now we get to replay it on Railroad 2. Obviously, the lineups are a little different. That now they have, instead of P12, they have Booten, which is, I mean, that's a pretty nice guy to have come in.
Yeah.
You know, like, wow. You lose, I mean, P12, Evan is such a good player, and he plays in a very particular, like, methodical way, and you almost couldn't find a better replacement to have that same play style than Booten, and he's even getting to do the things that Evan was doing, like car barring on certain maps, which it actually gives Brandon a chance to have even more impact. He's already a really good rifle and always has been, but now he gets to also use the bar on Allied side. You know, it's giving him an extra, like, 10 kills every match, basically, because he gets to do that.
Yeah, that's one of the best things of T3. They can change weapons, and you cannot, so like you, right now, you cannot be sure which weapons are they going to use for the match.
We have no idea. They could have PDX heavying. He could be rifling. He could be Stas or STG granding. He could be car barring.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So hard to do the strategic part with a team like this.
Yeah, you really have no idea. Like, they can all basically do anything, and they do. Like, they switch things up all the time. We can think we know what routes they're going to go, and we might not even be right about that. Like, well, Till's going to go train. Is he? Do we know that for sure? Maybe not. Maybe Booten's going to go train. He's gone train a lot in his career. He could go train.
Yeah.
They could send Leo train. He's tough to play when he goes train. They could send PDX train and just have him cut off an entire side of the map if they wanted to. They have so many options, and it's amazing to see the way that they choose to deploy them in any given week.
And also the way they rotate.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's
Yeah.
like, well, Muton was going train, you kill him, okay, I can push. And then there's Leo.
Yeah.
And then there's the heavy. What's the heavy doing on train?
It's
He's
crazy.
there. He rotated at that exact moment.
Yeah, that's, I think, one of their best tools as a team is the way that they shift around the map.
Yes.
And on every map, but like on a map like Railroad 2, a lot of it that you do is based upon like when you see a guy on your route die is when you take a push. And with them, like you said, you might see Bud and Booten are dead. They're the apartment players. And then you go over there and Leo is just like hanging out in the sniper loft looking at you, like waiting for you to assume that everybody was dead. And then it turns out like, okay, well, the four-way guy gets a call. Leo's in apartments. So the four-way guy goes to push four-way. Oh, Nick Patton's over here in four-way now, and Till's right next to him. Like, there's no way around it. They set you up for that.
They are impossible to read.
Yeah, and that's what makes it tough. Like on top of obviously the skill level is just that unpredictable nature of their play style. On any map, at any time, you can assume things all you want, but more often than not, you're going to guess wrong. And you're going to walk right into some guy who you don't think is going to be there, and then you lose that route for your team.
Yeah.
It's
incredible how they rotate. Yeah, and psychologically for the other team.
Yep.
It's like I killed both heavies. I remember the match against Icy Hot, watching the heavies, Moshers, and I guess it was Kanga or Beast, I don't remember.
Yeah.
They killing both heavies, both T3 heavies, and they would push, and then was Buton. What was Buton doing there? Or maybe, I don't know, Leo. It was like Leo is going long. What is he doing mountain?
It's so random. But it seems like, for as random as it seems in the game, they must have some kind of system for this, the way that they decide to do it. Or it could just be based on feel, because all these guys have so much experience. You can get a kind of a feel for when maybe you should rotate, when maybe you should stay. I don't know if they necessarily have it set on some number of circumstances, like if this guy dies, this guy's going to rotate over, or if it's just, we died at apartments, can somebody cover, and somebody covers. But however they do it perfectly. Like, you never see a T3 guy out of position the way you see on most other teams at different times. Like, it's just inevitable. You try to take a push to get out in front of, whatever route, and it turns out like, oh no, now the rest of my team just died back there, and now I'm stuck up here getting shot at by 3 people. It just happens. That's the nature of DOD, but with T3, you just don't see it happen.
No, completely. And I would say that it has a lot of damage psychologically, because when maybe you kill both heavies and then Leo was there.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, you kill both heavies and you're thinking, is Leo here?
Exactly.
Is he going to be here? I don't know. So you don't push. And Leo was on the other side of the map.
Yeah. It stops.
But you were just waiting for him.
And then it gets to the point where you might even already have known, like you might have seen Leo get a kill on the death notice, but because you were so ingrained from that earlier situation, it just doesn't register that he's not there. You're just thinking about the fact that like, I pushed this spot the last time I was here and Leo was there. And it just throws you all off. And then you'll notice that after you're already dead. And then that throws you off your game a little more. You start to feel like, man, I'm having a bad game today. It just becomes an avalanche of negative feelings in your head.
Yeah, they are so hard to predict.
Yeah, I love it though, because then it becomes like the game within the game. That it's like trying to predict just an unpredictable thing, and when you get it right, it's like so satisfying. When you're like, I think PDX is gonna be here now. And you pre-fire it, and it turns out like, yeah, he was there. I'm onto them. Of course, then the next time you're wrong. It's just the never-ending cycle with
Like
that.
now I understand him.
Yeah.
And then 30 seconds later, you say, no, I didn't understand.
Yeah, he kills the whole team, and you're like, ah, damn, I didn't understand anything.
I'd say that's the most interesting thing, at least for me, of the match against between you guys, T3 and Thunder, is the way the both teams play so different.
They do,
It's
yeah.
like it's like you see T3 and you say it's chaos. If you're not
It
in
is.
the team, it's chaos.
Such
I don't
chaos.
understand. But if I watch you guys, it's like, okay, I know JaGGoN is going to do this,
Yep.
Schultz is going to do this, and it works for both. That's the most amazing thing to watch.
I love that. Like the fact that even now in 2022, people are still able to like reinvent the way they play the game and make it work for them. You don't just have to watch a Thunder demo and be like, this is how Thunder plays Railroad 2, so let's just copy that. Like these guys play Railroad 2 a totally different way and they beat us at it. And other teams play it totally different ways, and they're capable of beating us at it. Even still to this day, with this 20-year-old game, people are still figuring out new ways to employ strategies that, if you had asked 10 years ago, people would have been like, "No, don't do that. That's wrong." And they would have been wrong for saying that. Like there was. Oh, go ahead.
No, go. And I was thinking of Lennon, how lately it's becoming more Axis-sided.
Yeah.
I guess people found a way to turn it around.
Right? I don't know how. I think part of it is like the change to that spawn at Axis first flag has made it so that it's no longer just a horrible situation when you are pushed back to your first. Like you have a chance to fight back. And even in a lot of angles, you're probably more favored to get those kills than the allies now. And you can't just die to one nade anymore the way you could before. Like they could just throw a nade right up to your spawn exit where everybody was going to be, and 4 guys would die, and the last 2 would have like 10 health. I think that made it a lot more plausible to be able to break out of those last flag situations. And because it seems like teams haven't really gotten in tune with that yet, so they're still pushing as allies, like balls out straight to the first, full team push, and then they're just running into a wall and all dying at once and losing control of the entire map in return.
Yeah, Lennon is so fast.
Yeah.
It can change so fast.
Right? It goes just around and round in circles where based upon who happens to get the best of the frag exchanges at either team's first flag a lot of the time. And that can be such high stress, which, I mean, I think that will make it even more high stress in a final situation. Lennon for a finals match is like bonkers to think about, but here we are. And we picked it just to make it that much more weird. A team that hates Lennon. Like, I would have never guessed 10, 12 years ago. If somebody told me 10 years from now you're going to pick Lennon as a finals map, I'd have been like, fuck you. You know, like, no way. I'm never picking Lennon as a finals map. But this new version, like, because it's a little more equal on both halves and it's not so dependent on you have to cap out like at least 5 times on allies or you might lose. I think it's a lot more interesting as a finals map than it was a year ago or a season ago when we were playing B2 or whatever it was, and it was just basically who can get the most points on their allied side.
Yeah.
Which was fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked that Lennon, and it was fun as a heavy or a rifle to push up blue room and, you know, try to kill 5 guys at a time and stuff, or push up long as a sniper. You can still do those things. It's just a lot harder and more rewarding to do it rather than just like, well, I sprayed a whole bar clip at this one corner that everybody will always come around, and they walked into it.
Yeah, I agree that the new version, it's not that unfair for Axis. And you have this left side to get out of your spawn.
Yeah, that's
which is
the
useful.
biggest.
It's useful. The other one, it was just senseless.
Yeah, nobody, and no, like they had that door, but like, what are you gonna do? Walk out this tiny door where they can hear you coming from a mile away? You know, like those footsteps are so loud. Everybody knows you're trying to sneak out that door. They're all just waiting for you to peek your stupid head out and shoot it. Like it was just impossible. So now I think even if you removed that hole from the equation to the right and just had that left arch side exit, that alone would have been enough of a change. But I do like the hole too, just because realistically now you can send 2 guys to each spot, and then you're all kind of spread out enough that one nade will never take out half your team at any given spot, which is nice.
Yeah. No, I agree, especially with the left side, now that you can go out of your spawn because you're not on the crosshair from the guy on underpass.
Yeah.
Like on the regular Lennon, the guy on underpass was looking at that door.
Always. Just naturally.
It's like you open the door and you get headshot.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
Now there's like a little more protection on that side. It's a tough shot to hit. If you hit that shot, you hit a really good shot.
Yeah.
You
can move around at least a
bit. Right? It's not all just like, oh God, we got to get out of this spot. We have to find a place to hide. We have to do this. We have to do that. And you just end up getting mowed down. Now you can actually like employ a little bit of a strategy to holding your first flag and slowly finding a way to break out of it. And I think that bodes well for this match too. With T3, they're really tough to cap out on in general. But on a map like Lenin in the past, that wouldn't have mattered because they would have just got capped. It wouldn't like that Lenin map. It doesn't matter who's playing on the other team. If you're pushed down to your last flag on Axis, you're gonna get capped on eventually. Now they have a chance to really be able to defend and show their proficiencies in their abilities to prevent cap outs, which I think is something that they are so far beyond anybody else in the game team-wise at defending cap outs. Like they don't give them up that often on any map. It's kind of crazy how little they ever give when it comes down to holding their last flag. Every match I casted them, every match we played against them, you get to that point where you're going to cap out on that team, if you start to think they have you right where they want you. They want you to push all your players to that flag and think you're going to cap out because they're just going to kill all of you and retake the rest of the map. It's hilarious.
Want to watch what you guys, Thunder and T3, are going to do once you are defending your first on Lennon, I mean.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
What an aid, I don't know, heavy's left, rifles right, I don't know, something like that.
Right, it's going to be interesting to see the difference in those strategies because I feel like we both kind of have a different thought process on how to go about it there. Like they a lot of times they'll take some risks that I would be afraid to take, but they trust themselves to do it. Whereas I'm like, I don't know if I should really try to peek this spot right now. Like if I do and I die, then I might fuck over the rest of my team. But with them, it's like they trust one another to have that spot backed up, and like if they take a risk, it's not gonna sink the whole team because they died. Or they just don't die, like they just get the kills. If it's PDX, he's not going to die. And it's going to be on Lenin because we haven't really got to play them on Lenin that much. I have no idea what to expect out of them on Lenin. Totally clueless.
Yes, and I think we didn't have any strong match like this on Lennon, right?
No, yeah, everything besides the Icy Hot PMC match, which was obviously legendary with it coming down to like the cap out as time expires, but outside of that, every other match was a blowout.
Yeah.
Like a big blowout too, like 400 or 500 points. It was just one of those weeks where the matchups didn't really work out for that. Actually, yeah, because wait, PMC Icy Hot, was that the playoffs? Yeah, that was playoffs that they played each other.
Yeah.
I was like, wait. Had me confused because I was like, I've played PMC, but they played PMC. So yeah, that was in the quarterfinals, which was to have that again happen in the playoffs. It's just so nuts to me.
And the last match.
Yeah. Oh God, it's just so it's so high stress whether you're playing it or watching it. We all know each other, so it's not like one team, you don't really know them, and if they lose, you don't care. Like, you can feel the heartbreak for everybody on both teams since everybody in this community knows one another pretty well. It's interesting. I am curious to see if they're going to have Brandon Car Bar on Lenin again, because that is the one thing that you notice watching them in their Lenin this season was boot and car barring.
I guess he's going to play like that yet, car barring.
Yeah. Because PDX, like, again, going back to the versatility of PDX, he's really, really good at garanding well, and he's really, really good at STGing apartments. So they're just letting him do both, and Brandon gets to reap the rewards of that by getting to use the leftover guns of the car and the bar. So that kind of works out for him. But then the thing is, like, then on Thunder's side of things, obviously you got Jules and Ryan in Apartments, who are two just ridiculous heavies on Lennon. Like, that's probably both of those guys' favorite heavy map. And it's the part of the map that is most important. So it makes you wonder, like, are they going to end up having PDX just heavy to try to match up with those guys? I'm guessing not. I don't think that they're going to change anything to specifically counteract, our heavy team. But it is definitely something that I would imagine that they thought about, just knowing, like, all right, Jules and Ryan is a heavy team. That's a lot. Should we maybe just have PDX bar 2 just to kind of hold it down? Or do we want to make sure we have like, it's definitely, again, it's so interesting to see what they come up with strategy-wise in any matchup. But obviously, in particular, for me, the matchups against me.
Yeah.
Just because, I'm selfish like that. But then, like, the other matchups, so, like, they have on long, they don't do it straight up the way that a lot of teams do, where it's like, this is our long rifle. They actually switch things up, where on Axis side, they have Till play long, and, like, his playstyle just kind of suits that part of the map more on Axis, but then he goes over to Well on Allies, and Leo goes long, which, again, is so interesting the way that they decide to do these things. I assume that they'll do that in the finals. Again, who knows? But then, like, going against, you got Patton and me, J-Rod and Leo or Till. Like, the matchups on every part of the map are so crazy. Or on Well, you got Toxinator and Dorito versus, like, one half PDX and Till, and on another half, Booten and Leo. There's just all these heavyweight clashes all across the map. On a map like Lennon, where it's chaos, and a lot of the map comes down to just who wins an aim battle. Like, this guy is going to peek this spot. Is he going to be able to outshoot the guy that's holding this spot? And that's very interesting to me as a concept in a finals match, because in most of DoD history, I couldn't tell you a time that there was a Lennon finals map and anything that mattered at all. Certainly, it was never a finals map in Cal. It might have been in CEVO, because I think you got to pick your maps for the finals. So there might have been a team that, like, picked a Lennon. I don't recall it ever being a finals match in TPG or DCN. Definitely not at any LANs. So this is kind of like potentially a first to see in the highest division of DoD a finals match on Lennon. And it offers a unique opportunity to just see, like, the skill levels of the team shine, rather than like, oh, well, who's most prepared for this strategically, who's on with their nades, who's on with their rotates. Like, a lot of it, not all of it, because it's still DoD, but a lot of it is going to just come down to who's on with their aim that day.
Yeah, especially on Lennon.
Yeah.
That is such a fragger map.
Right? I love it. I think it's cool. Like, I love Anzio, and obviously we still could get Anzio as a third map, which I think is fitting. So, like, you get Railroad 2, where we're replaying the match from last season, which is one story, and then you get Lennon, where it's like an all-out fragger map. Like 90% of that map is just who's hitting their shots. And then you get Anzio, which is like the big finals match for DoD ever. Everybody always wants it in the finals. So you got these three very cool, like, I think that the maps just turned out perfectly from a viewer's perspective or a caster's perspective. Like, I don't think I could have imagined it being three better maps. I think if it was Harrington, they would have just smoked us. Or they would have definitely beat us. Maybe not smoked us, because, Toxinator, Jules, and Ryan will just all get a bunch of kills, and so it'll be close. We're not allowed to play T3 and have it not be close. If it was Thunder, there would have been a lot of who can hide in mid-house better, which is boring, especially for a viewer. Yeah.
Too much camping.
Right?
Way too much.
I hate it. Like, usually when I'm casting Thunder 2 matches, in Silver, it's not that way. In Silver, everybody's just like, they just don't even care that map you need to hold mid. They're just like, let's cap out. Yeah. And if we die and we lose mid, whatever. But in the Gold division, Thunder matches are just like, all right, there's one guy in mid-house, there's one guy in crack house, there's one guy in a loft, there's one guy in Susie, there's one guy prone here, and then the bunker side, they're probably both prone. There's very little actual action going on, unless it's a blowout. in which case that's just boring in general because you want to see
Yeah.
close matches.
Yeah, nobody takes risks.
No, it's full on just, I mean, and that's the way that Donner always was played too, so it doesn't surprise me at all. I think Ace was kind of hoping that Thunder would play a little, I think it still plays a little faster than Donner, but it's definitely, people still live by the Donner versus Thunder meta of like, we need to just hold mid, and that, you know, if we kill the whole team, we can go try to cap out, but if not, we just can't afford to lose mid. So that would have
but
been more.
even so, even if you kill the 6 of them, you're probably not capping out.
No, yeah, because it's so
Really
far away.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, even if they get one guy out of that spawn before the rest of you get there, all they got to do is throw a nade like around the corner, and it'll probably kill a few of you coming for that flag and stall you out enough so that the rest of the team can get there. Like, you just don't see, unless it's a ninja cap. That's basically the only caps you see on Thunder.
That's the only way.
Yeah. And I mean,
teams are so worried of
yeah,
the ninjas.
Everybody's always
never
looking.
Push. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like impossible to get one off. I mean, I'm sure that Leo could figure it out because he's so good at ninjing. With Ryan on the team, though, we actually have a ninja guy ourselves. So like that would have maybe been kind of interesting to see Ryan versus Leo, which ninja can get the most ninja caps. Because like we in an invite season finals, we got to pick the deciding map versus No Luck, and we were like, we just lost to them on Harrington. We can't pick. We don't want to pick Railroad 2. We don't want to pick Anzio. Like, what do we feel most safe on? We'll pick Donner. And so we picked Donner, and Ryan, of course, ends up ninja capping to win. Like, having to play a Donner finals match was so... If you can think of how Thunder is now, as far as the slow pace of play, that Donner finals match was like, if you got mid, you didn't even try to move past the mid-house. You were just, like, falling straight back and just getting ready to hold and hide in a house somewhere.
Okay.
It was so slow. But regardless, I guess it doesn't matter because Thunder is not in this. It would have been, I guess, maybe interesting, but probably not all that interesting from a viewer standpoint. But getting back to Lennon and Railroad 2, I mean, I did talk a lot about T3. I'm sure the Thunder guys will shit down my throat if I don't mention the key players that need to be performing in those maps. So like on Railroad 2, with the obviously Toxinator and Jules being on opposite side of the maps, two guys that can really hold shit down single-handedly if they're having a good day. But then on top of that, I think with J-Rod on Railroad 2 on Axis side, the way that he, like, you see when he has a good day on that map, he usually gets like 45 kills. He can be a real big nuisance going along on Railroad 2, I know. And then with Ryan and Jules in Apartments on Allied side, that's a tough, heavy team to play. And then Ryan and Train on Axis side is a tough guy to have to deal with. Him versus Till is going to be a really, really fun Train matchup because they're both really good at Train on Railroad 2, and they both play it in totally different ways. Again, with the way that like these two teams play the game differently, even down to the individual matchups on their routes. God, I hope that this vibrating chair isn't like really obvious over my mic. It might be.
No, not at all.
Okay,
No,
good.
don't worry.
But then like obviously whatever, me versus Nick, like we kind of cancel each other out because we both play the same and we're just trying to like hit dumb shots on each other through the walls. And then Brian versus Leo, very, very similar play styles. Dorito. You know, like Leo is kind of like the Argentinian Dorito in the way that he plays and his strengths. You know, with the good rifle control with recoil like that. You know, Brian was known for that back in the day. Like all the individual matchups make for a really interesting one. I guess maybe we should pick like who do we think one guy from each team on Railroad 2 could be the most important player, I guess would be a good way to go about this. Like if this player has their best kind of game, it will win it for the team. Who do you think each team, one guy for Railroad 2?
I was thinking of J-Rod going
Okay.
long
Yeah.
on Axis because I've seen him playing really well there, and it's not most players can play that well going long.
It's a tough
like,
route.
Yeah, sometimes it's like boring or it's not that useful, so people don't pay too much attention. like sending a great player there.
Yeah.
But I've seen juggernaut doing some crazy stuff there.
Yeah, he does.
And if he goes off,
That's going to be
anybody,
yeah,
anybody can go off, and it would be amazing.
right. And
I'm
because
thinking,
it's at the first flag at the end of that route too. So it's like
yes,
that sucks to have a guy kill 3 of you at your first flag or whatever.
yes, as a heavy, it's such a pain in the ass to have a rifle there in blue.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
so hard.
frustrating.
Yeah. And like with juggernaut, he's so crazy. Like he pushes, he maybe went underpass. You don't know if he's blue. Maybe he's in white steps.
Yeah.
He's running so fast. He's jumping all around.
Jumping around, yep. Jump scripting.
So hard to predict.
I love it. He's a wild man. I could never play DOD like that, but he can pull it off. I'm
Yeah,
way too passive for that. Now, what about T3 on Railroad 2? Who do you think the big key player is going to be for them?
I'm going to pick Bud
Okay.
because I've seen him. I know he's not flashy.
Right.
Like we were talking about PDX,
Yeah.
Leo. We know the Butte, and we know they're going to do crazy stuff. But Bud is like this super regular player.
Yeah.
He's not going to get 40, but he's never going to get 15 either.
Right.
He's
so
going to have like
consistent.
That's the word, consistent. He's going to get those 20, 25 kills, and most likely 10 of them are going to be very important.
Very important. He's so good with that. The way he'll just hold down a route for you, and that opens up the map so much. Just knowing like I can take this extra risky push because if I die, I don't have to worry about will there be somebody holding my route behind me. Bud will be there always. Like he will do that at the cost of his own kill total. Like he is doing everything just for the team. I saw in a Railroad 2 match, I forget who it was against. Oh, it was against
PMC.
PMC, yeah. You know what I'm thinking about.
CK 4-way.
Yeah. CK coming 4-way, and like
Bud was platform.
Bud was plat. Like the whole rest of the team is pushed up, going for mid. CK's coming to ninja break, but Bud is there covering their asses from platform, way behind everybody else, and it ends up being like maybe the play of the game because that the match was still close. So. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a huge play and something that nobody would have thought to do that there. Like that was the kind of thing where the rest of your team is pushing up. I might as well just push up with them. Why not? What else can I do? But with Bud, it was like, well, our train guy's not a train. Maybe I should watch for the potential flank to break mid. And he was right, and he got that kill.
Oh, yes. Bud always does this dirty work that nobody likes to do. Because, of course, we all want to push and frag and cap out.
Right.
But when you have a player like this that doesn't care, he's not like in a bad mood if he got only 20 kills.
Yeah.
But those 20 kills, half of them were very important.
Right, exactly. And I think the perfect example, too, I mean, I was sitting here saying, like, PDX, I think, was the only player to go positive in that Railroad 2 match against us. And then you check the screenshots. Well, Bud also went positive.
Yeah.
He was like
and
20 and 15.
Like 1 or 2 positive.
Yeah. It was like, he went like, what was it, 21 and 13 and 22 and 15 or something like that. And he was just holding his routes down perfectly. He's so under the radar with it. And even if you know what to expect, he's hard to kill. He's fast. He has good recoil control. He has good nades. You can't just be like, well, I know he's lower apartment, so I'm going to go kill him. He's still probably going to kill you most of the time.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
He's a Brazilian legend.
He is. I remember when he would play the opposite way of this, where he was the one running around and fragging hard. Like, it just shows his versatility to be able to say, like, on this team, I'm better suited to be the guy holding back and let PDX or Booten go pushing forward. And he still is able to put up good numbers and do that job in a really impactful way.
Yes, his level of team play is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's off the charts.
Yeah.
And then
so those are my 2 picks.
Perfect. I'm thinking for Thunder, I'm gonna say Jules. If Jules has himself a big game, he's the kind of guy that can end up with like 80 to 90 kills when he's really on. Apartments is going to be so important because of, the Bud and the PDX factor on that side of the map. And even on Axis side, like, I mean, Apartments is a nightmare, as you know, for an Axis heavy, but he finds a way to make it work in his favor a lot of the time. And that alone is something that's like rare to see a heavy that can play aggressive in Apartments with an STG and really be able to it's such a pain. You got that stupid railing and you're dealing with a sniper in the loft just to get into Apartments. And then you got bars shooting you through a railing that you can't shoot through. Like, it's impressive when you see an Axis side heavy with the STG be able to put up numbers. And Jules is one of those guys that can do it. I think he, if he has a huge game, it'll be tough for T3 to overcome that. And then on the T3 side of things, I mean, I got to say PDX because I'm still having nightmares from the last time. What he did to us in that semifinals Railroad 2 match was fucking, epic, legendary. And, if he does that again, he already proved that even if 4 out of the 6 players on his team are going negative, if he plays like that, we're not going to win. So, like, if he does that again, there's probably no way we're going to win. Whatever route he's going, whatever gun he's using, he always has high impact. And even more importantly than his kill totals and deaths is where he's getting those kills. Like, you can see him not have kills for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden he'll break mid with a 4K, push up to your spawn and kill 3 or 4 more of you, and you go from having the whole map to being capped out on. And it's so much to have to deal with, and it breaks your spirit when that happens.
Yeah.
He is the kind of guy that can get enough kills in a row that you just feel broken right afterwards. So I can see him having that kind of match would be insurmountable for Thunder to be able to handle. Now, what about Lennon? What do you think for the 2 teams on Lennon player-wise?
I would say that I'm guessing that, I don't know if we're doing this now, but for Railroad 2, I think T3 is going to win. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's
Cory,
right. I should have probably had predictions, right?
I'm sorry, Thunder guys, but I think T3 is going to win. But on Lennon, I give you that match.
Okay.
Because I think Schultz and Ryan are going to be too strong.
Yeah, that is a tough I wouldn't want to have you against that Apartments team ever.
Who would want to?
Right? You'd have to be a masochist to want to do that.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's just, those guys, as it is, they're ridiculous heavies. They're guys who've been considered the best heavy at different points in their careers, and it's their favorite map. So, like, that's just the double trouble situation there. Having 2 guys who really love this map and that route together, and it being the route that's really like the through line of the whole map, where
yes,
you can have your long team and your well team not doing all that much, but if your Apartments team is just dominating, you'll be able to get those other 2 caps because of it.
Yes, yeah, I completely agree. It's going to be so hard to play against them, but if I choose 1 or 2 players to play against them, those 1 or 2 players are going to be from T3, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So that's exciting.
Right? You got the Bud and PDX heavy team for Axis side at very least, if not both halves, and those are the kind of guys that you need to match up with the Ryans. It's just, especially because, PDX, he'll push forward, he'll frag the shit out of you a lot of the time, but then even if you kill him, which is very challenging to begin with, but then you got to find Bud all over that map. Like, he is so good at navigating Apartments and being in places you might not expect him to be. Like, he'll find off angles because he's a heavy. He knows a good heavy is going to pre-fire this spot. He's going to pre-nade this spot. So he goes out of his way to not be sitting in those spots and to find a way to catch you off guard. And even if he doesn't kill both heavies, he'll kill one of them, he'll put damage in on the other one, and he'll make sure that they have a good call so that when PDX is coming back or if a rifle's rotating, that they know exactly where the rest of those guys are. And that is another huge factor, I think, in that kind of a route team together with like him and PDX or him and Booten on any given half.
Yeah, it's going to be a Clash of Titans.
I love it.
That Lennon Hotel.
Oh, God, it's going to be... it's one of those things that I wish I could just kind of like watch instead of having to play, God damn it. For me, I think, I kind of can't even really, I think that's probably who it should be, the Apartments team, realistically, because that is forever going to be the most important thing on Lennon. And really, either team, if either team's heavy team can really shit on the other heavy team, that's the team that probably wins.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
Lennon
most
for
likely.
you.
Yep.
It's unfortunate sometimes, like where you could have your other 4 players dominating their routes, but if you're getting dumped down in apartments, it doesn't really matter because those apartments flood out to the other 2 spots. So if those heavies are on, they're still killing your guys everywhere. It's kind of the unique thing about Lennon in that regard, because you have a map like Harrington that has a middle like that, and it floods out to the other sides, but you don't really. It's not like you're really worried about the sniper and the rifle in mid dominating the rest of your map. Like, it's just middle that you have to deal with then. But on Lennon, when those heavies are dominating, it is a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah, because they can not only kill a lot but also cap a lot.
Yeah, yep.
Because if your sniper is down, but you can have a heavy capping long,
Yep.
and then a rifle is down on well, you can have a heavy again capping out.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
It is. It is. It's very cool when you can see like the really high level heavies and the way that they work around that map and try to find openings. And those 2 heavy teams are as good as it gets. It'll be. I mean, it could be one of those situations where they both sets of players end up going like 25 and 25 because they're just killing each other equally the whole time.
Yeah, they
Which would be
cancel
cool.
each other out.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of like the best DoD, I think, when you see everybody in the server has like very similar scores because they're just so well matched, and that tends to be the case when we play T3, of course.
Then at that moment it is really important to read the game, because sometimes it happens that both teams have similar kills, but like one team has 200 more points.
Yeah.
Because you read the game. It's like you pushed at the
Exactly.
moment you had to push.
Yep.
And sometimes you're doubtful, or you pushed and they just respond, and then you get killed and you lose that side of the map. But it's like those moments, like those 2 seconds that you have to choose the right option, and it's so hard to predict what to choose. But if you pick the right option once or twice, it can make a big difference.
Yeah, especially in matches with these 2 teams, they're always so close that one smart play or that one mistake, that alone will usually be the make or break moment in these matches. Unfortunately, it sucks for the guy who makes that mistake or the guy who has that moment. It's awesome, but it just seems like with these 2 teams, it's never a blowout. It's always coming down to just that guy who ninja'd or that guy who hit the big 3K at the flag, or that guy who, had a perfect nade to break a mid cap or whatever. It gets so much more magnified with a T3 Thunder matchup because they're so even in every way, and it's just always so interesting to see which way the coin flip goes on any given day, whether it's a match or a scrim between us. It's always crazy.
Yeah, on matches that close, a big little play, a small play, I mean, can make such a big difference.
Yeah, it really is. It ends up being moments that you don't like. They're in the moment. It's not memorable because it's not some big bombastic movie clip, but just a little something like catching a rotate on a guy trying to come flank you, or being the guy to rotate yourself and get a good flank on a cap, on a mid cap or something, or even just throwing a good nade when a guy is, you don't even know where he is. You just throw a nade, it happens to kill him, and it turns out like he was ninja'd going to try to cap out. If you hadn't killed him, you would have lost. Little things like that in these matches end up being the huge difference makers that are kind of like the unsung heroes in the end.
Yeah, especially on maps like Lennon that are so fast.
Yeah. Oh, so much happens in any given Lennon match. It's crazy. You can't, as a caster, I can't keep up with it. I try.
That's one other interesting thing of this final, that it's at least 2 matches.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
very interesting. It's not like one match that, like what you said, PDX played out of his mind last season, but then you win just one match.
Yep.
You have to do that again.
Exactly.
Like 30 minutes later, you have to do something like that again.
Right. And for both teams, mentally, that comes into play. Like, if we had a second map to go to after Railroad 2, we would have had to get it out of our heads that PDX just shit on us. Like, we couldn't let him intimidate us going into a second map, or that map would be over already. And it's the same thing this time. Like, neither team can let a loss or one player dominating them stay in their heads longer than that moment at all. or else you're going to just set yourself up to lose immediately 2-0, and there's just no way around it.
Yeah, you have like an instant rematch.
Yeah, I love that.
That's great.
Well, usually we have to wait the full season to get T3 Thunder matches. Like we got one in week 5 this season, and now we get one 6 weeks later. Before that, it was the semis the previous season, so like 3 months before. Like now we get potentially 3 straight T3 Thunder matches in one day. It's enough DOD to make your head explode, potentially.
Yeah.
I love
it's going to be amazing.
I can't wait to watch that cast after, no matter what. It's just, the casting is so fun.
I don't know who is showcasting.
So I know that Tom was talking about doing it. I'm not sure if that got confirmed. If he doesn't do it, though, then it'll be bullet fodder, I think. And probably, they'll probably have, Caleb and Cory Price on it, too, I would imagine. I think that the silver matchup is in the afternoon, so I'll probably cast that, and then I know that if Tom is going to do it, if he confirms it and everything, then it'll be him. If not, then it'll be bullet fodder, and if he wants to have someone else on, then it'll be, the other people. Him and probably Caleb and Cory Price. Because they'll be LAN together, so they can shoutcast on the same mic.
That's crazy.
How convenient is that?
Yeah. And then we didn't talk about Anzio.
I was going to say, the one more map. Obviously, it's an if necessary. They could sweep us, we could sweep them. But Anzio, the big bad finals map, of course, of all time. That's one of those things where I think maybe before this season, a lot of teams would have been like, well, Thunder doesn't lose on Anzio. Well, guess what? Let's take a look there. Where's the week of Anzio? Thunder lost to Clinic on Anzio, who went 3-6, so not so unbeatable. And everybody had been talking about leading into season 1. They just want to scrim against teams on Anzio. No, we're not infallible on Anzio. We got wrecked by Clinic.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's not like you lost by 10 points.
Yeah, we got wrecked. It was not even close. The match was over with 10 minutes left, basically, because it was so impossible to come back at that. So in that regard, that is good for T3. If that match hadn't happened, they might be going into this when we scrim each other on Anzio, Thunder usually wins. They never really lose on Anzio. But now they see that Thunder is just as human as anybody else is on Anzio. And it's another map where both teams have very different philosophies on how to play it. Of course.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to expect. We've scrimmed each other a bunch, but it's been a while. I think since I think we scrimmed each other last week. Yeah. We scrimmed each other leading into the semifinal. Not last week, the week before that. We definitely got a couple Anzios in, but it's always close, of course. No matter what we do, if we play T3, it's going to be one team wins by 10 or less points. And Anzio is interesting in the way that the routes split up, and you could see Typical try to do something different against us, where they had the Plaza team was 2 cars and a heavy, and they sent a light bridge on Axis side. 2 cars and a heavy, and then on bridge they had a Unter, a Stas, and a sniper. I don't think T3 will do anything like that, but you could see them try to do something a little different. I know PDX likes to kind of float around the map on Axis side. He doesn't really just stick to one route. With Thunder, it's a little more straight up all the time. The sniper and rifles are bridge. On Allied side, the sniper and the heavies are Plaza, and the rifles are bridge. It's always the most fundamentally sound DOD setup that there's going to be. And on a map like Anzio, now we get to figure out, is it better to really just nail down the fundamentals and really doing everything by the book? Or is it better to have that chaotic, everybody's running around everywhere and rotating to different spots play style that T3 does?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. It's going to be, I really hope it goes to a third map. Yeah. Obviously,
we all hope that,
right? I'm in the match. It would be great to win 2-0, but I would rather it go to a third match. I really would. That's going to be so stressful. I'm going to lose years off my life, no matter what happens in a third match. It's going to be so stressful. I love it. The adrenaline is going to be off the charts. I'm going to be shaking. I'm going to have 4 balls that day over the course of the day, I'm sure. God, it's just like, what a scenario we could see if we get to a third matchup on Anzio there. And you look at what the teams did in the regular season. We lost to Clinic. T3 they got to play Slow Loris, obviously.
They lost to Over.
They did last season, yeah.
No, this season.
This
they
season.
lost to Over. Yeah.
Where am I looking? Oh, yeah, that's right. We both lost on Hanzio.
Yeah.
I was looking at the wrong week, so that's kind of funny.
I remember T3 didn't have Leo.
Yeah, they had 50 playing. That's right.
And I don't know if they had a ringer. I'm not sure.
I think that they were... Oh, shit. Do I have a screenshot for this? I should. The question is, what was the date on that? 9/25. I know they definitely had 50 playing, just like we were missing Toxinator for our match, obviously.
Yeah, I remember.
Unfortunately for us that day, 9/25. I told them that we should have just waited and scheduled it for a different day, but everybody was all cocky about it. This is... Oh, that's PMC Slow Loris. Icy Hot Typical. That's a scrim. That's a scrim. Icy Hot PMC. Where the hell is this? Did they play another day, maybe? I'm probably not going to be able to find this thing because it's going to take too long if I do. What about here? Oh, I know where it could be. Backup DOD shit. T3 over Anzio. There we go. So they had 50 playing, and this is when P12 was still around. So this was before Booten became a starter. And then, they were playing against... This is actually when Caffrey was still around. He's now back, but he missed the rest of the season after this match. And
I remember.
The big story in that one was Over's bridge team was just dominating. Jizz, well, it doesn't look like it here, but I think Jizz top fragged on allies, yeah. And you see No Name with 30, Jizz with 32, Sokka with 31. Like 90 kills between their bridge team on allied side was really the difference.
Yeah.
And then on T3 side of things, it looks like it was PDX and Bud, the Brazilian boys. And on the other side, PDX and Bud.
Wow.
There you go. That's all. That's the way it tends to go. PDX and Bud are going to lay the smackdown no matter what's going on in the rest of the match and make sure that they keep the team in it with a chance to win it. So we both lost our Anzio matches. How fittingly that turned out. I forgot that they had lost theirs. So we both are 0-1 this season. Well, we got to play a playoff match on it. I don't remember if they did. No, they played Harrington and Lennon, right?
Yeah, I don't think they played Anzio.
No, because they had a bye in week 1, and then they played Icy Hot last week, and I believe it was Harrington and Lennon.
Yes, it was those ones.
Yeah, so... we're 1-1 on Anzio this season. They're 0-1, and could all come down to that. All the matchups are like basically still the same as they were on every other map. Like Jules and Ryan versus PDX and Bud, me versus Patton, and the bridge team of like Till and Leo, and Booten versus Tox, Dorito, and J-Rod. Just such crazy matchups everywhere at all times on a map that everybody knows how to play and could probably navigate in their sleep at this point. Which I wish I could try that and see if I could just navigate Anzio with my eyes closed and know where I am. But I don't know. I have no idea what to expect from that match. I feel like I have a better understanding of what both teams will do with each other on Lennon and Railroad 2 than I do on Anzio, because you can do so many different things. You expect on Axis side, you're going to get Bridge first, and on Allied side, you're going to get Plaza first, but you can always send resources to the other side of the map to try to throw a curveball. You could always just give up one side of the map entirely. You could try to contest things early, like on an Allied side, you could try to contest Bridge. On Axis side, you could try to contest the Plaza cap. There's so many different ways to go about it. And you just never know with either of these teams what they might decide to do. And, I don't look forward to when Nick Patton is going to be on Bridge with a sniper rifle. because it's really hard to get out of there.
Yeah. I was actually thinking that for my picks for this match, I would pick you and Patton.
Okay.
Because I think that you're not going to be able to cancel each other out since you're going different routes.
That's true. That is true. A rare occasion, maybe the only occasion where snipers have
Yes, I
nothing
guess it's
to
the
do.
only one.
Yeah. Every other map, it's like, oh, I got to deal with this sniper today. But on Anzio, it's the opposite, where that's the sniper's over there and you're picking off their guys over here. You know, on occasion, you get to rotate around or maybe the other sniper is shitting on you. So you're like, God damn it, I need you to come pick the sniper off. You see
Sniper
that happen.
tower.
Yeah. You start to have the annoyed voice like,
yeah,
sniper still tower. Like, if anyone can take a hint, please. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. So yeah. And snipers on Anzio, obviously there's a lot of spots where they are like the swing man. If you're pushing up Plaza on Axis side and you can get a sniper in tower or next to Pizzeria, like that's every sniper wants to be there. Or on Allied side, sniping from the bridge up to the Axis first flag is everybody's favorite spot. And you can really just wipe their team out before they even got there.
Yes, snipers on Anzio can make such a big difference.
And like even when it comes to holding double caps, like the Allied sniper in Plaza, being able to just go back and forth between like Pizza and the tower and underneath double windows, standing in the cap zone, like you can make it. I've seen Nick Patton make it physically impossible for the Axis team to even smell Plaza, let alone cap it.
Yeah, and then he pistols you from across the map.
Yeah. As soon as you think you made him miss a shot and you might be able to peek him, it turns out he's got a little car in his hands in the form of that pistol that's just going to headshot you immediately.
Yeah.
And it's
he
the
has
same
two
thing.
Snipers.
Yeah, he's got 2 mini snipers. And when he's on bridge, he's doing it from like meat locker, you're in loft, where you can shoot a guy in loft with a car sometimes and it doesn't kill him. But Nick from meat locker will one pistol you in that loft with no problem. It's nuts.
No hitbox problem for him.
Not for that pistol. That thing bends bullets, I swear to you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I don't want to pick myself as the player to watch, so I got to go a different direction. I'm going to say that Toxinator on Thunder, when he's having good games on Anzio, he's the kind of guy that is just a nightmare. He's everywhere. Like, you know, carring in Plaza, he can be flanking around your entire map. Carring bridge on allies. You know, you might kill both their bridge guys, and then Jared's still alive. He kills the last leftover guy. You think, like, well, he might push up Barbershop or, like, be at R1, but then it turns out he went all the way around and, like, shot your team in the back in Plaza. You know, like, he's just all over the place. And for T3, I think I'm going to go with Till. Till can do that same kind of thing. For that reason, I'm going to go with Till as a guy who might be like a very serious problem on Anzio. If he is, like, because he'll shift around the map in such weird ways that you'll never expect. You'll think he's going Plaza, and then all of a sudden he's, like, in your spawn house, shooting you in the back. You know, he'll be proning out of Ivy. He'll be proning down main ramp. You know, for all the flack that he gets for the way he plays, it's effective. And it's something that will tilt you so fast when you go around a corner and on an off angle, Till is prone somewhere and headshotting you. You know, ninja capping on Anzio is something that is a factor. And with how close these matches are, if they get one extra cap because Till ninja capped, because someone lost track of him or they thought they knew where he was going to be on a route, and the factor of if he can, like, get a sniper rifle in his hands and be in double windows, he can just he can be the sort of like a counter sniper to me in Plaza, where if you can find a sniper on the ground and be picking Pizzeria, suddenly there is a sniper matchup going on over there, and it's not so simple for me to be able to get out and pick off their heavies and stuff. So that is, I mean, and the other guy, it's hard for me to pick one on this one. And obviously, we all know Leo and PDX and Bud and Nick. All these guys are crazy. But Booten with an Unter on bridge. That is something that I've seen on his team a lot of times. And when it's working for him and he's Untering bridge, you just can't stop it. He's just headshotting you from a mile away. He can pre-fire you. you're pushing Z, he's pushing Z with an Unter on Axis, pre-firing that corner. Good luck killing him. You're headshotted as soon as he comes around the corner. Then he's in your spawn house, or he's at your beach, or he's flanking your plaza. I think that those two guys and the way that they can be mobile around the map can throw enough of a curveball that it could be the difference maker in a match that would otherwise be just like, a stalemate because one team is holding on to bridge and one team's holding on to plaza.
Yes, I agree. I would say that most players on both teams can do this.
Yeah.
This crazy shit that he was on spawn house, okay, but 10 seconds later he's on your first.
Yeah.
And then 10 seconds later he's back on spawn house.
They're
It's
everywhere.
driving you crazy. You don't know what to do.
You're making calls, and then your teammate's mad at you because he said he was spawn house, but now he's in barrel, then you feel bad. It can be impossible to deal with. You only have so many nades. Even though there's probably too many nades in this game, you only have so many of them in situations like that. And if you don't guess right on where you're nading, then that guy is still alive, and he can push to any number of different places. And you're right, like really anybody on these two teams is capable of that. Everybody's got so much experience and confidence in their own game to be able to just flank around the entire map at any given point in time. But yeah, with Booten, especially that goddamn Unter on bridge, man, I hate it. I hate seeing Unters on bridge because it shouldn't work, and most of the time it doesn't. Usually it's a free kill, but when it does work, it is bullshit. It is so annoying. And you just feel like you can never peek him because he's going to be pre-firing forever. And as soon as you peek into it, you get your head blown off. I hate it.
It's the worst for snipers.
Yeah.
To play against the light.
Right?
He moves around. He shoots everywhere.
They have so many
have
bullets.
1 shot.
Yeah, you get one shot, and you got to, usually slow peek it to find him. So, he sees your gun barrel coming around the corner and just starts shooting. You're dead before you even knew where he was. I can't stand it.
He can pre-fire 3 or 4 bullets.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's all he needs. Especially if he's on his A game, one of those days where you just have that sixth sense, every time you're guessing where somebody is, you're usually right. And when that's happening with an Unter, it's resulting in a lot of headshots.
Yeah.
So hopefully he doesn't have that kind of day, because that would be really fucking frustrating. But what's your prediction for Anzio? Because obviously I can't predict. We got to get the final prediction.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I was actually remembering what happened on the match that Icy Hot, typical on Anzio, that it all went down for just the mid flag.
Yeah.
Never the mid flag was so important like that day.
No, never. The mid flag felt like the queen.
So crazy.
Yeah.
It was like mid on Thunder.
I loved it. That was so fun to watch. Just teams like two bullheads clashing in middle, going through Ivy and the main ramp entrance, just trying to kill each other in this very small space.
Yes, it's going to be. It's actually. I'm not just stalling. It's really hard to pick a team.
No, it is,
because I'm thinking of the options that can happen. Like I'm thinking like if Leo does this, if Dorito does that, if Toxine, if it's like wow, it's so hard. So hard.
Many variables with these two teams.
I'm thinking now about the Ninja Cups because on Anzio it's really possible to do that.
It is. It's wide open on both halves.
Yeah, and one can sneak, jump window, sundial, laundry. Oh my god.
So many areas.
Yeah. I'm thinking of J-Rod and Leo.
Yeah.
So I would check every single corner.
Right.
Even though if my team is all pushed up, I would check every corner.
You gotta be sure. You gotta be sure at this point, because if you just think that there's one corner I don't really need to check, that's probably the corner that one of those guys is in.
Yeah.
Every time.
So it's I'm sorry, it's really hard to pick.
No, it's okay. I wouldn't be able to pick either. That's why I'm not even gonna pick.
No, I don't think I can pick either. At least right now.
That's fair.
It's really hard.
I think that if it came down to a third match, nobody would know who's going to win that match ahead of time. Because with a map like Anzio, it's so ingrained into all of our brains, anything could happen.
And we have to think that how I mean, how psychologically you get to the third match?
Yeah.
Did you win the second one? Did you
Right.
lose the second one?
How did
It's
you
very
lose too?
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Did you lose by 500 points
Yeah.
because it's Lennon? It can happen.
Exactly. Yep.
Or did you lose by a last second cap
Oh,
and you can't believe it? It's like not again, not
it
again. This
breaks your
team.
spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really really hard,
There's so many factors.
and people are going to be tired too
Yeah.
after 2 hours of playing.
Right. And it starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, so like it's late at night then. People who are normally in bed are now playing a third match of like the highest quality DOD against a team that's going to be frustrating to play no matter which side you're on. There's just so many factors in this.
A lot of factors. I was thinking that for Leo, Bud, and PDX, it's 2 more hours.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So
It's
they're
like
starting at
11. So
11.
it could end up at 2 a.m.
Ugh.
for them.
And that's like
And-
at the very minimum. That's if
Yeah.
there's no break, like, because if there's 2 maps and it goes to a third, then both teams are probably gonna be like,
Yes,
"Can
you
we
need
take a break?"
Yeah.
So it could be
Yeah,
even
they
later.
deserve it. And then you have to go to work.
Yeah,
at the
after
other
all
day.
that.
Yeah, no, it's really hard.
Ugh.
I'm sorry, I can't pick.
No, you don't have to pick. I think that everybody would have the same answer in this case because there's no way. Like, it's not just that we're playing Anzio. Like, we're going to show up Sunday and we're playing Anzio. It's playing Anzio, and it's right after having just played 2 maps that will very likely be so stressful and close. You don't know how either of those maps were won. You don't know who was playing well or not well. You could have a player who you needed to play really well, and they're just having an off day, and that could be why they lose on Anzio, or why a player who you didn't expect to have a huge game is, and that could be why they win on Anzio. Like, it's too impossible to pick that map. It's just it really is.
Yeah, it's so many factors.
Yeah. If it was just a
Right.
regular Anzio match, that was the only match of the day, that's a different story. But as the third map of a best-of-3 finals between these 2 teams late at night, it's just impossible to pick.
Yeah, at least for me, it's impossible.
Yeah. Even in
To
my
pick
head,
one
I
of the
don't know.
two.
Like, just
Yeah.
dead honest, I have no idea who I think will win that match. Not even if I was the most confident player in the world. Like, I wouldn't be able to pick my own team because I don't know. For all I know, maybe we won Railroad 2 and they stole Lennon by a crazy last second cap out, and then everybody on the team is dejected and they just come out. We just can't kill anything on Anzio, like, so many things can happen. It's totally understandable to not be able to pick it.
That could happen. That would be really crazy.
Yeah.
If you guys win Railroad 2 but you lost
And lose
on
Lennon,
Lennon.
that would
Yeah.
be fucked up.
Yeah, but you win Railroad 2 and you're feeling really confident.
Yeah.
Oh, we got this. And
We
then,
did it.
wow.
Exactly, and that's
Wow.
another factor, like the order
Yeah.
of the map wins could be a factor, because if we won Railroad 2, we'd have to be feeling like we're going to sweep this thing, like, oh, well, this
Yeah.
is our map choice, we're favored here, like, all we got to do is just play our game. And then if we lost that thing, whether it was a blowout or a last-second cap or whatever, like, it's going to be heartbreaking to then have to go play a third map when we expected to be able to sweep after winning Railroad 2. Like, it's just so many different things that can come into play. So, yeah, we don't have to predict that one. That one can be left to the gods.
Okay, let's do that.
All right. Well, that does it. Nothing else to talk about. It still was shorter. So no matter what anybody says, it was still shorter. It went an hour and a half, but it was shorter. We get talking. We can't stop. Reminder to everybody, if you haven't signed up for the draft, that'll be coming up next month. Get signed up. I don't know how many slots are left.
They aren't.
Oh,
But we always accept ringers and
Yeah.
more players because there's always people dropping out
Always.
at the last second.
Yeah, always. No matter how many people we have signed up for any draft, there always ends up being like 5 to 10 people who don't show up. So if you
Yeah.
want to play in the draft, still sign up as a ringer because you'll probably get a chance to play.
Yes, completely.
So yeah, I mean, good luck to us and T3 on Sunday. Everybody show up for the cast, whoever it's going to be, either Tom and Candy and Caleb and Cory, or Bullet and Candy and Caleb and Cory, and I don't know. It'll be posted. Thank you, Chi, so much again for being here. Always a pleasure, obviously.
Thank you. Really.
Always a good time to have you on. Hopefully you can get on whoever's casting that that night too, because you always got a lot of good insight for the game and a good feel for it. So that'd be a good person to have on there once we find out who the hell it's going to be.
I'm open for that.
Hell
If
yeah.
anybody wants to invite me,
Hell yes. All right. Have a good rest of your night, Chi. Everybody else, whenever you're watching this, have a good night and see you guys Sunday. KTP. Thanks for watching. I went to say peace and my hand was out of the camera. Peace.